All right, I think it's about time to get going. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for joining, everyone. We're super excited to be here today. This is our launch of the Presto Kit for Azure IoT. First, some quick introductions. I'm Kevin Tate. I run marketing and product here at Rigado. With me is Steve Garetta, who's our director of product marketing here. And we're very excited to have Avneet Singh. Avneet is our friend and collaborator at Microsoft. He's the program manager for Microsoft IoT, Azure IoT Central, which plays a very important role in the Presto Kit, as you'll see here in just a little bit. So thanks for joining us, Avneet. We're super excited to have you.
Thank you.
So here's what we're going to do over the next 20-25 minutes. We're going to do a quick intro to Rigado and how our Edge as a Service solution works. And then I'm going to hand it over to Avneet, who's going to talk about IoT Central and how its plug-and-play capabilities power the Azure, the Presto Kit for Azure IoT. And then we're going to hand it over to Steve, who is, Steve's got the hot seat today. He's going to be giving a live demo of the Presto Kit, show how easy it is to set everything up and get data flowing directly to the dashboard. And I don't think that's going to take more than 20-25 minutes, maybe half hour. And so we should have plenty of time at the end for discussion and Q&A. Speaking of any questions that come up along the way, please throw them into the Q&A box here on Zoom. That way we can make sure we get to all of them at the end. And with that, let's do this. So I'm up first. For those of you not familiar with Rigado, our specialty is providing edge infrastructure for enterprise IoT. And we're fortunate to have worked with a lot of companies across a lot of different verticals, most of whom are in what we would call the commercial IoT space. So a lot of retail and restaurants, a lot of smart office and smart building, which I'm going to talk a little bit about later, and then logistics and supply chain. And of course, we couldn't deliver and integrate these solutions without all kinds of technology partners. But the folks at Microsoft and the Azure IoT team have been a really important partner for us over the past few years, and for a lot of our systems integration partners. And so that's a lot of what led to today's launch of the Presto Kit. We have more than 100,000 gateways deployed globally. I'm proud to be in 75, 80 countries today. And so we have had the chance to learn a lot about what it means to put together an IoT solution for proof of concept, for pilot, and then for global deployment and production. And again, that informs a lot of the path to production we try to enable with the Presto Kit. Specific to commercial IoT and the role that we play there, ultimately for us, it's about delivering the data. There's all kinds of reasons that companies are trying to get good real-time data out of their physical environments. Safety, obviously a primary concern right now. Also utilization and productivity drive the need for all kinds of real-time data coming out of environments and equipment and the people who are working and visiting those places. So through our lens, through the Rigado lens, we look at all those as different types of real-time data, be it environmental data or location and presence data or activity data. And we ask ourselves, how can we enable the cost-effective and secure collection of that data to power our partners' enterprise applications? And we see our role as delivering that data to their cloud applications and to their workplace management applications. So to put that into context, if we look at something like a smart building environment, we're often bringing and integrating things like occupancy sensors and activity sensors and utilization sensors. And then we're pulling all that into our Rigado gateway, and that's the friendly looking gateway there in the middle, which handles all the device connectivity, the data processing, and integrates directly to the cloud, in this case, Microsoft Azure. And so playing that infrastructure role for something like a smart building environment creates a system that not only can work for one or two use cases, like say occupancy and utilization, but can also be easily expanded as new needs arise. And so one of the things you'll see later is that adding a sensor and a data stream to a Rigado infrastructure is as easy as pulling the battery tab on the sensor. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about how this applies to safe workplaces today. This has become a huge focus of our conversations over the past few weeks even. And so in this same way, Rigado gateways are now being asked to integrate with things like mobile phones, which are being used for applications like contact tracing, workplace ID badges, people counting systems, and of course the kinds of occupancy and presence and utilization you would expect as companies try to figure out how to safely enter and manage and maintain their workspaces. So this has become a really exciting area of development and partnership for us over the last few weeks. If you have interest in safe workplace solutions, or you'd like to learn more about how we're powering those and how we're integrating with Azure to power those, just let us know. That's something that we're excited to talk about. So enough from me. I'm going to hand it over to Avneet to talk a little bit about Azure IoT Central.
Perfect.
Avneet?
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. So yeah, thanks folks for having me on here, really and giving me the opportunity to share like the work that we've been doing at Microsoft, specifically within Azure IoT, to really simplify the process of building IoT solutions. So I'll walk through that, both from an angle of like the work that we've done within the Azure IoT platform, and then the work that we're doing to really pull together our IoT application platform with IoT Central. So Kevin, if you could skip to the next slide. Now, as we all know, there's digitization happening across all major industries that you see on here. The promise of sort of the digital transformation enabled by IoT and the increased accessibility of smart and connected technology that we're talking about here, for instance, from Rigado, really means that IoT is starting to become an increasingly lucrative and a necessary investment for most of the businesses that we talk to. It offers a tremendous opportunity not to just dramatically improve the existing processes, but to also really innovate and create new business models and revenue streams for a lot of our partners. So we've been investing heavily in this space to make sure we can simplify, again, the process of taking a solution to market. Kevin, if you could go to the next slide. Now, when you look at building an IoT solution, the conversation primarily revolves around three things. It starts with the devices, the things that we have in an environment, producing a set of signals, which are the insights that they're generating, resulting in a series of actions that are taken downstream, either in a business application or by an operator of the environment itself. However, in reality, Kevin, if you go to the next slide, when you look at building an IoT solution, there are so many more pieces that are involved that you have to figure out when you start to build your own. And there's all kinds of sort of integrated connectivity between systems that you have to think about. There's high availability and disaster recovery that you need to go down and support. There's configuration of the sensors that folks like Rigado ship. There's manufacturing and how do you update and make sure all the sensors and gateways are running the latest set of software. And when you look at that, we see that this is a very complex world that needs a lot of simplification. And that's really where we're investing our energy and our time in right now. So to go to the next slide, Kevin. Now, when it comes to building an IoT solution, specifically within Azure IoT, you really have two ways of doing so. One is you can build from ground up. You can start from, and Kevin, this slide is going to build out a little bit. So if you click once, it's going to start building out. It starts by leveraging sort of an array of IoT and Azure services that we have to really perform various kinds of operations like device registration when you're onboarding a series of your devices in an environment. Capturing and processing telemetry, which can be done through our key gateway, our sort of front door for Azure IoT, which is the IoT Hub, that provides you with that bi-directional communication to be able to do so. Visualizing insights, which you can do using our time series insights function, and then manipulating data, which you can use Stream Analytics for. So you can imagine like there's a series of operations that you need to perform, and you can certainly perform them by leveraging these services. However, designing and integrating and maintaining these dozens of services in your solution has an inherent cost associated with it. It also requires sort of an extensive set of expertise to really take a solution out to market. And we believe a lot of our partners who are looking to stand up their own IoT platform, certainly this is the right path for them, right? Like when the goal is to pull together a platform that they're going to leverage long term for not just solutions, but also enable other partners and customers on, then this is what they go build on. However, we also feel that a lot of our partners who are looking to take solutions to market within a reasonable time frame and within a reasonable sort of investment, they find this very overwhelming. So the work that we've been doing here around IoT Central helps sort of simplify that. So Kevin, if you could go to the next slide, it visualizes the role that IoT Central now plays in this space. So this is really the second model, which is you build with a fully managed IoT application platform versus starting from the individual services. You still get benefit from all those individual services that are underneath IoT Central. What happens here is we sort of abstract away the individual services and give you more higher order sort of services and components to work with. And this is what reduces the investment that you need to make in the orchestration flow in terms of management burden that you also have. It reduces your operational costs. And there's tons of other overhead that comes with an IoT project that it sort of handles on your behalf. So as you can look at this picture, it visualizes how that central piece, which is the IoT, core IoT backbone of your solution, is now replaced by an IoT application platform that you can work with. However, the components on the left and right stay the same. So on the left is all the devices and components within your environment that are producing a set of signals that you want to ingest. So this is where the Rigado Presto Kit and additional sensors that you're leveraging would sit. And on the right, you have the business applications that you might build to, again, sell to your customers. And this is where they're visualizing the business insights and not necessarily the IoT insights for their solution. So those components would stay the same, and the centerpiece is really replaced by IoT Central. So Kevin, if you could go to the next slide. Now, let's talk a little bit about what is IoT Central, right? Like we talked about, it's an application platform, but I want to give you an insight into what it's supposed to do, what it currently is tasked to do. So if you go to the next slide, we talk about how IoT Central is, again, this fully managed IoT app platform that reduces the burden of building and maintaining an IoT solution over a long period of time, right? You can certainly leverage our services and take something to market, but you always have to look at what's the total cost of ownership for 5-10 years from now when your IoT solution is still running. And that's really where IoT Central shines, by giving you an enterprise-ready, a highly secure platform that, again, has a predictable pricing model around it, and it has a more industry focus. So Kevin briefly talked about safer workplaces. That's been something that's top of mind for all of us these days. So what IoT Central does is, again, gives you better starting points with templates around that allows you to kickstart your journey in terms of building an IoT solution for safer workplaces. So the three areas, and I'll talk through them in the next slide, are within IoT Central. These are sort of the fundamental pillars of IoT Central, are all around getting connected, staying connected, and transform. So what I mean by that is our goal is to get your devices up and running very, very quickly. And a lot of that work has been done through services like Device Provisioning Service, DPS, that we've built. But we're now enabling and we're streamlining that with the integration of plug and play within IoT Central as well, which allows you to define the sort of the language that your devices are going to speak. It allows you to define the schema that your devices are going to send data in, and that's now standardized for different IoT solutions and services within Azure IoT. So we automatically understand what's going to come into us, so we can process all of that data. So within Get Connected, it's all about getting your devices online very, very quickly. We actually just recently added support for IoT Edge as well. And for those who are not aware of IoT Edge, this is our sort of our runtime that runs at the edge that allows you to run various types of compute workloads on it. So for instance, if you have an AI ML scenario where you're using cameras to be able to detect something, you can run those payloads like the IoT Edge modules directly at the edge, and you don't have to run them in the cloud. This again gives you a faster loop because of the lower latency, because you're doing all the compute at the edge. So we now support management of an IoT Edge gateway device or an IoT Edge Leaf device within IoT Central directly. We've also added a lot of different capabilities in staying connected, and staying connected is all about how do we enable a great operator experience to make sure for folks who are maintaining and managing a variety of different sensors within an environment. And let's take an example of, for instance, a retail store where you may have deployed a lot of Rigado sensors. How do you go manage those sensors their lifetime to make sure they're always calibrated, the battery level on them is great, they've they're getting the latest instead of sort of the firmware updates that Rigado is sending. All of that is within staying connected, and we've added a ton of capabilities in that area as well. And then the last one is transform. Earlier I talked about our strategies, again, to build, to help our partners build with IoT Central. And that primarily revolves around our extensibility surface, because we want to make sure IoT Central is, again, the core IoT backbone, but we're allowing you to take the IoT insights, the aggregated insights that you're producing in the set of business applications and business workflows that your customers have. We don't want to get them to use IoT Central as their front door, right? Like, they are used to a set of processes today, and we want that learning cost to be very, very low, and we want to give you the ability to be able to ingest these insights directly into those business apps. So Kevin, if you go to the next slide. Now, I'll briefly hint at some of the new capabilities we've added in IoT Central. I won't go into detail around all of them, but feel free to, again, reach out, and we have a ton of documentation online. In fact, we've done, Rigado has done some great work in terms of creating knowledge-based articles as well that I definitely recommend you go look at to learn more about IoT Central capabilities. And then we have docs on docs.microsoft.com that you can take a look at as well. Some of the key ones that are worth highlighting here include our app template work that we've done, and I'll go into that a little bit more in detail. We've also added support for white labeling, which allows you to really make IoT Central your own, right? When you're building a solution for your customer, you want to white label it for that customer, so it feels their own. The Azure brand or the Rigado brand doesn't shine there. It's the customer brand that is visualized there. IoT Edge support I just mentioned. The next one is also API support. So this is part of the extensibility work that I was mentioning in the last transform case, where we've added APIs to be able to allow programmatic access to IoT Central. This is where you can not just do device management operations programmatically, but you can also onboard bulk set of devices within IoT Central using our APIs. And soon we're going to be adding APIs for data query, more advanced data query as well, which allows you to, again, take data out more programmatically from within IoT Central. IoT plug and play, I briefly mentioned this as well. This allows you to, again, seamlessly connect a variety of different sensors that are supporting IoT plug and play within IoT Central. And then the last one is a more predictable pricing model, which we've built now with a two-tier sort of pricing model that allows you to select based on the device volume as well as the message volume that you'd be sending. So briefly talking about app templates here. So really, app templates allow you to, these are really tools that allow you to get started very, very quickly. And the work that we've done here is we've built a sample set of dashboards within application template that allow you to really streamline the experience that your operator would see, right? So out of box, you can certainly start with a custom IoT Central application, but you can start with one of the 12 app templates that we've built that you'll find on apps.azureiotcentral.com and really visualize what a particular scenario would look like and how an operator would potentially behave. Again, these are all customizable, so think of them as really good starting points, and we want you to customize them. This is exactly what Rigado is, for instance, leveraging around the Presto Kit when they want to ship a Presto Kit app template and help you streamline the onboarding of the sensors within the Presto Kit. And Steve is likely going to talk a little bit more about that too, so I won't go into too much detail there. This slide shows you a quick visual of some of the app templates that we've built. The very first one that you can see here is around in-store analytics checkout scenario. So we talked briefly about safer workplaces. One of those areas that we're looking at is how do you make the retail stores more safer. So in this particular example, you can see the checkout lane occupancy and the dwell time, for instance, for the customers that are in those checkout lanes. And one can use this application template to really build a end-to-end solution that allows you to trigger alerts when there's crowding happening within a particular checkout lane. So that's just an example of sort of a solution that you can build using one of the templates that we have within IoT Central. Awesome. So now, building with IoT Central, again, that's been the theme for my presentation here, which is we want to enable you to really get started on your IoT journey with little to no code, which allows you to really integrate these IoT insights that you have that the sensors like Rigado Presto Kit is producing into the business application that you're building or into the workflows that are critical to your customers' needs. And using the extensibility surface to reach beyond just the IoT signals and really create meaningful business scenarios and business applications around them. And that's really what IoT Central has all been about. But now with the launch of Presto Kit, Kevin, if you could jump to the next slide, it's really never been easier to convert an idea into a solution that you can quickly take to market to your customers. The pre-certified sensors that Rigado has built around the Bluetooth technology and with the Presto Kit specifically, they allow you to quickly generate the set of signals that you would need to build out one of those templates into a full-blown solution for your customers. And you can easily take these sensors now and visualize the set of insights that they're producing within IoT Central and also manage them through IoT Central as well. And with IoT Central dashboards that we're producing, you can perform the real-time monitoring of these sensors and trigger the right set of actions that you want to take downstream within the business apps or within components like Power Automate, previously known as Microsoft Flow within IoT Central as well. So that's IoT Central in a nutshell. I want to hand it over to Steve because he's going to walk through a demo of IoT Central, which I think it will make it a lot more meaningful. So Steve, all yours.
Thanks, Avneet.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk now specifically about the Presto Kit and how all those things that Avneet described have been distilled into a simple package that you as a solution provider, system integrator can take that technology and deploy it very, very quickly. And we're going to actually do a live demo of that here. So the Presto Kit, which I have the box here in my hand, if you have my video, you know, we essentially give you a POC or pilot in a box. It's, as you can see here, it includes one of our Cascade gateways. We include LTE service to make it really easy to just plug it in and make it work. We include a variety of different sensors, temperature monitors, asset trackers, occupancy, flick buttons, so that if you want to build those applications that Avneet described, you can build those. We also include a few getting started recipes ourselves, which I'll show here in a minute. You bring your own Azure IoT Central subscription. So if you already have one, that's great. You can do a free trial if you want. But we're going to basically give you a wizard to get this thing up and running, and then it's all yours. You get the data, you create the application, and you're off and running. So we're going to show what that looks like. I've actually got a kit here that's already opened, and it's a very, very simple out-of-the-box experience. You're basically going to plug in the gateway and then start peeling off the stickers from the sensors, which are all Bluetooth low energy. They're all battery operated, super simple to install, and they're going to be up and running. Go ahead, Kevin. So what did we do that's special here? Well, one is we created that plug and play setup using that pre-certified plug and play that Avneet described to make it super simple to get going. The other is we created an onboarding wizard, which is really special. It allows you to, with a few clicks, get your IoT Central up and running with the gateway that we send to you in a secure fashion in a matter of minutes, which I'm going to show here. And then we created some market-ready use case examples to kind of get things started. So if you have a project and you know what you want to do, you can go and start running with that yourselves. If you want some ideas or you're not sure how to get a report built the right way and you need some help, we can do that as well. So it's a very
Steve,
fast
we had a request to hold the kit just a little bit higher there in the Garetta home studio. So we can give that a good look.
That comes through nice there. There's plenty of high-res photos on our website, by the way, and you can see these are neatly packaged. And I've already got a couple of kits running here in my house, and we're going to use that for the demonstration.
Nice. It looks great, Steve. The logos are straight and everything.
Yeah, we're very proud of the packaging we put together on this the kit. It's really, really neat. Go ahead and by the way, I'll mention that I've already answered a bunch of really good questions in the Q&A, so we'll try and keep hitting those in the background while I'm doing the demo here, so keep them coming. Go ahead, next slide, Kevin. And briefly, and I actually did get one question about Edge Direct here. So just a little bit about how this works. We're using Bluetooth to get device information into the gateway, into the cloud through Azure IoT Central. We've talked a lot about that and the telemetry that presents. There's also some orchestration that we've put together from Rigado that, for the most part, you don't have to worry about as a user of the Presto Kit, but it does things like updates, and it ensures that the gateway is secured, and it makes that wizard experience work very easily. So the whole idea here being that you don't have to write any code or understand JSON formatting or anything about the sensors. that Edge Connect software that we have running our gateway takes care of all that. And in the end, you're going to be left with very, very simple drag and drop tools to create your application and alerts and analytics. So I think we're about ready to get to a demo here. And so I'm going to go ahead and create my application. And now we're in Azure IoT Central creating our app. I'm going to go ahead and go with the free trial just to make this easy. Give a number in here, and you can actually name this whatever you want, but we'll just leave it as the default. And you'll see that it's actually going to go and provision an application live here. It just takes a couple of seconds and we'll be up and going with our IoT Central Azure application using the Rigado template. And the cool thing here is you're going to go in and see, okay, let's get started. We've got some common questions. And there's one more step that's really important here, which is to provide Rigado's gateway with your application information. It's all about, you know, that security. And so we're going to click here and it's going to finalize the setup by asking us for these 3 pieces of information. If you use IoT Central, this will be no surprise to you that we need to get these 3 pieces in here in order for that to work. We provide some nice screenshots of how to do it, but watch how easy it is. I just go back to my app. I go into my device connection here on the administration, and this is my special stuff. And nice little gem here. I can just copy to my clipboard, paste it in here. I also need these things called the primary key and secondary key, which is very easy. Again, Avneet and the team have made it very easy to just copy that, paste it in, copy this, paste it in here. And when I click next, now Edge Direct is going to tell the gateway, hey, this is the Azure IoT Central application that we want you to talk to and link up with. And that just takes a couple of seconds while it activates it.
That looks great. See, that looks even easier than screen sharing.
Yeah, it's actually easier than setting up a Zoom screen share with 2 people. Look, we've already got success. Setup is complete. And basically go back to your application. And the first thing we're going to do is look and see if we have any devices. Now, I've already peeled the tabs on the devices in my house because I've got multiple setups running here. So it's actually going to start to see these devices coming in. We've already got one showing up here. And literally what you'll do is take the devices out of your kit, typically peel the tab on a sensor, push the button on a flick button, and look, you can see these devices coming in. We've got the occupancy sensor, we've got the temperature sensor, and that's it. We're live with an application with the devices from the Presto Kit coming in, feeding data, and you're going to start to see those things reporting in. And from there, it's very easy to go and build a dashboard. In fact, why don't we go ahead and grab one? Now I can go in, I can get rid of the instructional help from Rigado because we don't need that. We already made our application. Let's, why don't we go and grab one of our occupancy sensors? And I think this is the one that's sitting here right in front of me. I'm gonna look at occupancy state. I'm gonna add the tile. And I wanna look at last known by. By the way, there's instructions in our knowledge base to do all of this. So if you're scared, like, oh man, this looks really advanced. First of all, it's not. I'm just doing a bunch of mouse clicks. And also we've got instructions. And you can see that this says true because this is the occupancy sensor I have in my office here, and it sees me here. And so it says, yeah, that's true. So like that, we've already started our dashboard. Now to get from this simple one to the sophisticated ones Avneet showed, which are real true applications, is more about what do you want your customer to see? What are you trying to get out of that experience? But you can see here, within a couple of minutes, it actually took us longer to get the Zoom sharing working than to get a live IoT application up and running. I think we've made some big advances, Kevin and Avneet, in our ability to bring these technologies to market. So I wanted to show, though, an example of an application that is more built out to show what you can really do with the Presto Kit out of the box. And so I've gone ahead and fast forwarded here to, let's say I had built a dashboard with each of the sensors that comes in the kit, an accelerometer that we include that shows XYZ, I've got one that does button presses. This is kind of a neat one, the flick button. Every time I press this button, not only do I see this counter increment on the dashboard, when I push it, it'll add counter increments, but I'm also going to get things like alerts. I've actually got this one set up to send me, see it went to 3 there, to send me an email and a text message. So customer service alert, a facilities alert. So you can use these push buttons in a lot of interesting ways. We've also got the occupancy one I showed and the temperature one. And then to really kickstart thinking around like smart, safe workplaces that Kevin described earlier as a use case that people are really excited about. I actually built one out, again, using the occupancy sensor in different rooms of my house to simulate conference rooms. And you can see how we can actually start to generate a value proposition around insight into real-time occupancy. I've got the Morrison conference room here holding in my hand, so that's why it's true. The other rooms are unoccupied right now. I can look at the last 12 hours of occupancy. So if we need to understand, okay, which conference rooms have been used or not used, for safe workplaces, there's all sorts of concerns around how often do we need to clean certain spaces and desanitize, so you can get that kind of insight here in a dashboard. And then heat mapping as well. And you know, this is live. You can see that in the middle of the night, there's not a lot of occupancy in the different rooms in my house, but as things get going in the morning here, you can start to see that heat map creeping up. And this is a great way for you to demonstrate in that smart building scenario, where is traffic, where is the activity, and where are the areas that we need to service and address the most as we're laying it out. So this is a very basic dashboard I've put together. And the other interesting thing you can do with this is take this data and export the telemetry into other data sources. So I've done some of this with continuous data export to Azure Service Event Hubs and Service Bus. So if you really want to get creative and put it into a Power BI, or you plan to build a mobile application showing this stuff, you can do that as well. And then lastly, I will mention that we're also monitoring the health of the devices themselves. So you can see the gateway that I have running and how long it's been online. You can look at the sensors themselves. You can jump into each one and look at things like battery life and its history and customize not only how the information is displayed in the dashboard, but also look at things like RSSI. If you're really looking to build out a pilot and production, you can use the Presto Kit to prove the range and the performance of different technologies before you actually go and scale that up. And we've included in the kit, these sensors that I'm showing here and the gateway, of course, are all production level devices. So this is not just a basic development kit where you're showing something and then you have to go and find other things to do. All these devices are being used in rather large scale production environments. So we've kitted down essentially a scaled production environment so that you can get started easy with proving out your use cases. So that's how I wanted to show this working live. I'm sure we're going to have a bunch of questions if we don't already about the demonstration, and then most importantly, how you can get a kit. So maybe, Kevin, this is a good time to switch back over to the slide share and we can talk more about that. Sounds good. All right, we'll see if the screen sharing will cooperate with us. I think you probably need to stop yours since you're the host now. If I may humbly request to share. I will stop share. One thing I should do actually before I do that is show our really cool knowledge base here. Oh yeah. Because this kind of ties it all together. You get the kit, you get it working just like I did in a few minutes with a few clicks, but then you say, hey, how do I build that, for instance, that safe workplaces dashboard? And we've actually created step-by-step recipes. And you'll see there aren't a lot of steps to doing this. There's 2 or 3 steps and then you get to the dashboard. And we've done that for a lot of different sensor types, a lot of different recipes. We're here to help. We don't want to just throw out a tool bag and say, go get it and put it together yourself. We actually are creating all these things. How do I create alerts using IoT Central? So that's all in there as well. And then finally, we've made it really nice on our website. If you want to go and get a kit, basically just click order, like I said, we include that 90 days of LTE. You can use it on Ethernet after that if you want, and just lots of information there to get. So with that, I will now stop the share and let you take over, Kevin.
Thanks very much, Steve. That was great. That was great. Nice demo. Studio is looking good there. And I'm going to share the presentation real quick so we get to the Q&A. And this is the best way to get started with Presto. It's live on our website now. You can also, as Avneet mentioned earlier, get at the same components in the certified device catalog through Azure. But the Presto Kit order form is live on the Rigado website. The kit is $749 and comes with all the things that Steve talked about. If you find that you've got a specific customer or project in mind that would require a little bit different setup or a different set or number of sensors, just contact our solutions team with the form on the website and let us know. We obviously do a lot of that work, including adding other sensors and devices into the gateway's connectivity. That's something that's very easy to do using our Edge Connect framework on the gateway. So with that, let me get to some of the questions that have been coming in. We tried to answer a few of them real time, but there are a number here that we're going to answer live as well. So first of all, how does the gateway connect to the cloud and what options are available? So from an internet connectivity standpoint, we've got the LTE connectivity, we've got Ethernet with PoE, and Wi-Fi are usually the ways that folks are backhauling. In terms of protocols, a lot of times it's MQTT, or it might be something more cloud specific using HTTPS. So really kind of a Swiss Army knife of connectivity up to the cloud, as well as to sensors. Next, I'll need to develop a custom sensor node. Any tools or hardware to assist with that engineering? Certainly. So if you've got an existing device that uses a custom BLE gap profile, then it's very easy for us to accommodate that on the gateway with what we call Edge Connect, which is our configuration tools around BLE devices. If you are looking to develop a new piece of hardware and firmware from scratch, then we also have a number of partners we work with and can refer you to who are really expert at that. So just let us know. Again, getting in touch with the solutions team is probably the best step. Avneet, it looks like you were going to take a question about Azure IoT Hub.
Yeah, there was a great question about, is it possible to connect the gateway and the sensors to the IoT Hub in addition to IoT Central? And the answer is yes. It's a very similar workflow that Steve walked through. And the scope ID and the keys that Steve put were specific to IoT Central, but you can just retain those keys for IoT Hub as well from within the Azure portal and leverage those to be able to connect the kit to IoT Hub directly.
Perfect. Thank you. And you know what? I'm gonna go back to our video here for the Q&A. Thank you. A question here about if and how Azure IoT Edge is deployed on the gateway. And so let me address that one. In this case, what we're using is our own Edge Connect snap running in Ubuntu core that handles the connectivity, the data processing, and the plug-and-play integration to IoT Central. It is also possible to run Azure IoT Edge in a snap alongside Edge Connect on our gateway or one of our partner gateways. And so generally that's what we find, how companies are using the Rigado Edge Connect framework for the device connectivity and initial data processing. And if they want to do something a little more akin to machine learning or running AI ML at the edge, then they'll use Azure IoT Edge alongside the Edge Connect. Let's see. Question around market and availability. Available now, the sensors and the gateways are certified globally. And so it's rare we find that the kit isn't appropriate for a pilot or a proof of concept nearly anywhere in the world. Ooh, there's a question. Can we see the black LTE version of the gateway again? Steve, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The light is green.
Good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, movable antennas show off the antenna range of motion.
We include a wall mount kit as well. So if you want to wall mount it, ceiling mount it, you can.
Yeah, a lot of times we see people put these up above the drop ceilings in offices, and they kind of tuck away up there. Worth noting, that one has the power cord on it, which comes with a power plug. It's just a 5-volt, but can also run off the PoE as well. Let's see. Questions about the sensors. You want to give a few more minutes on the sensors themselves? The question was, are we making them? Where can they buy them?
Sure. So I'll hold up the little sensor, this little caddy of sensors that we include. Most of them are third parties that we work with that are included in our partner program. In some cases, we resell them, like the occupancy sensor, because we do a lot of work in smart office, smart building spaces. We do resell these. The Hobo Onset, they're a partner of ours. Flick, we've actually created a custom Flick button with Rigado, but these are all basically their standard products. Same with the Menu S1. So generally people will use the Presto Kit in small volumes. You can get more sensors from us, but that's something we can talk about it. And then when they go to production and they want to buy, hundreds or thousands of them, they can arrange to get those directly from a supplier, and then they'll just integrate with our gateway. So it depends on your situation and how many you need, but we're not providing anything in the Presto Kit that you can't easily get in production. And as Kevin mentioned, they're largely certified for worldwide use.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. We had a question about what was the use case in one of our joint retail customers that we showed near the beginning. In that case, that's a joint customer with Azure, and really real-time retail store monitoring. So things like temperature, presence, occupancy, humidity, and worth noting that in that case, as is often the case, we're alongside camera systems. So our gateways and the sensor data they're collecting is being married with real-time camera data that's doing things like guest tracking and shopper pathing and loss prevention. So.
And Kevin, sorry, I didn't answer the part about how much they cost. Obviously,
oh, yeah.
the sensors cost. They're included in the price of the kit. At volume, depending on the sensor, they're typically in the low single-digit dollars. Some of the more advanced ones, like temperature loggers, can be more expensive, $20, $30, $40. It really depends on how much functionality you want. But Bluetooth BLE is typically low cost, so the sensors tend to be pretty affordable at scale. So they vary sensor to sensor.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Going through the questions real quick here. In terms of LTE, is it a SIM? It is. So we put an activated SIM card in there. There's a little slot in the back when we ship it, so you've got the 90 days. But you're welcome to put your own SIM card in there. And most of our larger customers, they already have their own cell plans and data terms, and so they'll just put in their own SIMs. And that is supported nearly globally. There are lots and lots of countries with whom we have participating SIM partners. It is a worldwide cellular module that's in the gateway. So it depends a little bit on the country, but I can say almost for sure that you're going to have a partner with LTE coverage in the country you're focused on. Let's see. How many node devices are connected to one gateway? In terms of this type of beacon and advertising-based data collection, nearly sky's the limit. We've done tests with customers where we were scanning 5,000, even up to 15,000 beacons within a few seconds in really high-density environments. So it won't be a limitation on the gateway in terms of beaconing. If you're familiar with BLE persistent connections, then you know that that's a different type of connection that we create sometimes, like for a firmware update or if we're getting store and forward data. And in that case, the answer is 20. So we can typically handle 20 persistent Bluetooth connections that way. But really no upper limit realistically for data collection. Ability to use multiple gateways to cover a full office floor. Yes, good question. A general rule of thumb is one gateway every 5,000 square feet or so. You know, it depends a little bit on the walls and what the setup is. But you know, we were just looking at this yesterday with a 20,000 square foot office, and we were placing 3 to 4 gateways around that office so that we're covering all the conference rooms and desks and equipment. So yeah, most often you've got multiple gateways on, especially a larger floor. Oh yeah, good question about advertising based. Yes, these are using advertising, and if you need to modify if you need to connect to your own sensors, we should be able to do that without having to do any firmware modifications on the gateway. That's really the configurable nature of Edge Connect, and so that's something we'd love to hear from you about and talk with our solutions team about. Can we combine all the gateways from different client locations into a single IoT Central? Avneet, you're going to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, the answer is, I mean, yes, you can have as many gateways as you want within a single IoT Central application. However, generally what we see is folks like solution builders are looking to build an IoT Central application instance per customer. So you can build the same condition monitoring, let's say, application for your 2 retail customers and have one application instance for each of them. But you can certainly, if you're providing a more SaaS solution for your customers and you're managing the gateways on their behalf, then yes, you can onboard a variety of different gateways within a single central application. There's no upper limit on that one.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question about kind of how far the sensors can be away from the gateway. Again, you know, it depends on the walls and what they're made of. A general rule is maybe 100 feet, you know, 30 to 40 meters to be safe. If you take these outside and go line of sight, we've gotten more than 200 meters. That's in part thanks to we have an LNA on the gateway, and the Bluetooth chip we're using there from Nordic is very high performance, NRF 52840. So we can get really long range, but it really does depend on the walls. I had an engineer one time tell me that, you know, generally every time you go through a wall, probably want to cut that range by about half, worst case. So depends on the setting, but let's say 30 to 40 meters to be safe indoors.
Yeah, and Kevin, just to add to that, I've had a few Q&As in there, and I've actually dropped links into our knowledge base because these are frequently asked questions we've done some nice write-ups on. So range, battery life, those types of things we've got in the knowledge base as well.
Perfect. Someone else asked if there are outdoor and weatherproof options available. There are, and some of those sensors, like the Hobo one you see there, are already rated for weatherproof and outdoor usage. We have a lot of different sensor partners and can point you in some of those directions. We also have weatherproof cases for the gateways. So what we see people do sometimes is put the gateway inside a weatherproof box, you know, like a mount on a pole or under an eave, and that's fairly straightforward to do. So certainly an option. Are third-party beacons compatible? Yes. And if they're using standard advertising, then it's very trivial to get that data flowing to the gateway. And if they're using their own gap profiles or advertising profiles, then we just need to configure Edge Connect for that. And usually that's a short effort, you know, less than a day. So let us know what you've got in mind. Firmware update through OTA, yes. So part of what we enabled with our sensor partners is their firmware updating tools effectively can pass through the Rigado gateway. That's something that the Edge Connect framework handles for us. Also worth mentioning that while we didn't focus a lot on it here, the Rigado gateway is a part of our Cascade Edge as a service, which includes not just the gateway hardware and the Edge Connect software running on it, but also the Edge Direct management service that Steve mentioned, which is what we use to set up the gateways, manage their configuration, in this case, push the recipes that drive the data into IoT Central and work with plug and play. And that includes security updates. So if you have a Rigado gateway, you'll get regular security updates if exploits come out or if there are things that need to be patched while those gateways are in the field. So that's all part of it. Question about pairing the sensors to the gateway. Well, the reason that wasn't covered in the demo is that it kind of happens automatically. So what we've done with the device profiles and the plug and play capabilities of IoT Central is remove the need to pair sensors to the gateway. So they just work out of the box.
Yeah, pairing this button means you push this button for 5 or more seconds and it will show up in IoT Central. That's all you got to do. That's the most complicated one.
Yeah, and being plug and play certified, I just want to call that out. I just actually responded to that question with a little bit more detail as well there. But being plug and play pre-certified means that IoT Central is already aware of the device template that these sensors are going to come with, or how they're going to behave within IoT world. So we don't need to have the device template given to IoT Central again. We just know how my new S1 temperature sensor would behave like.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think we're getting just about to the end of the questions and the end of the hour. Couple of quick ones here. Someone asked about an RTLS solution, so a real-time location service solution. That would be a great thing to follow up with us and the solutions team on. The short answer is that our gateways do get used a lot for location-based solutions using BLE. So we have a lot of experience in that area, and we can talk about how we use various types of gateways for real-time positioning with BLE. And let's see, we talked about the weatherproof sensors. I think that's about all we have time for. So thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to be launching the kit. Thank you again to Avneet and your team. It's been a real pleasure collaborating with you on this, and thanks for joining us. Steve, great job in the Rigado studios there. The kit.
Enjoy your Presto Kit, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Avneet, thanks for joining us. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for joining. And there will be a recording of this webinar available as soon as I get it uploaded to YouTube. So there'll be a link available shortly. Take care.